The first duty of government is to protect our rights.
It's our job to maintain the proper role of government in what we were tasked to do.
In the Idaho Constitution, Article 1, Section 1, we have a right to life, we have a right to defend life.
This legislation is centered on meeting the needs of Idaho families.
And we have no way to maintain control over the spending of this program, and it will be a disaster for this state long term.
But we have a whole gamut of kids whose parents would like to do something for them and they cannot.
The courts have long held that our ability to transfer title on real property benefits society as a whole.
This is simply about putting it out of reach of young, innocent, vulnerable children and making our libraries and schools a safe place for them to go.
And I am increasingly frustrated that we cannot stop ourselves from drinking at the public trough.
He's sounding the alarm. He's saying if we don't address these issues, we potentially might have greater problems moving forward.
I feel like we're back to an unappointed board that gets to decide who is essential and who is non-essential.
If I was looking at a business and I was looking at these figures, there would be heads rolling because this is unsustainable.
We're supposed to be bottom-up government. We're supposed to be representing my citizens' ideas and your citizens' ideas, and we're supposed to be discussing them and debating them to come to a conclusion.
And for me, it's about a couple things. It's about food security, it's about national security, and it's about preserving American exceptionalism.
The First Amendment and our freedom of religion, freedom of speech are our first liberties. They are so important. We don't have the rest without them.
How's that for an effect? All right, guys. Yeah, we're just having a little bit of fun here today. It is February 14, 2024. It's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to all you folks out there. And we are live. My name is Matt Edwards. Welcome to Idaho Signal. We are going to pay close attention today on the House. The House is currently in session. They are down there on the floor. House Bill 498 is going to be debated and voted on today. This bill, we had Senator Ben Taves on yesterday at the end of the program. If you didn't catch that, you can go to our Rumble channel and look up just that interview or watch the whole program. But this is the Child Protection Act. I don't know if that's the exact name of it, but that's I think that's what we're calling it. And this seeks to put age verification restrictions on objectionable graphic websites that kids have been accessing. And so this bill is going to be before the House today. So we will keep an eye on the floor there. Representative Elaine Price will be presenting the bill before the House, and then I'm sure there'll be some debate, but we expect this thing to pass, but we will certainly watch as it unfolds. After they adjourn, if we're still on the air, Representative Price will join us live to go over what happened and get her perspective on where she thinks this bill is headed if it makes it out of the House and heads on to the Senate. So we will keep tabs on that. Okay, so let me set up the rest of the show today, because two things. One, today in everybody's favorite committee, everyone's favorite committee, the House State Affairs Committee, this is about as close as you're going to get at a state level, at least here in Idaho, to I don't know what they call it, but in Washington, D.C., they have these hearings, right? They have these monthly hearings where they bring in folks who work in government. Like you'll see Anthony Fauci sit down and get grilled by Senator Rand Paul, or they'll have, Mayorkas just got impeached by the House. And but leading up to that, he's been, they have these hearings where these folks come in that are doing just horrible things of like violating our rights, and senators and representatives and congressmen will grill these folks, and we don't really have that at the state level. I've talked to some representatives and lawmakers who want to try and have some type of hearing like this, where they get to question the folks, the bureaucrats who are working at these agencies, and ask questions similar to what we see at the national level. That doesn't really happen. But what does happen occasionally is someone will come testify at a public comment during a committee hearing. And that is an opportunity, if it's relevant, for a lot of the committee members to, when the public comment is finished, the person can stick around and answer questions. And so when that happens, you'll oftentimes see some of the pushback, especially if it's somebody testifying who works within government or has a strong opinion or took a strong role in whatever the bill that they're discussing is going on. So today was very fascinating because in the House State Affairs Committee, this was finally the full hearing on the mask mandate bill. And so I want to we want to play some clips from that and set that up, because we'll lead to that. This is Representative Jason Gallagher presented the bill in its RS print hearings over the past couple of weeks. It's gone through a couple of reiterations, but it finally it has a bill number, and now it's before the committee. It's also co-sponsored by Senator Brian Lenny out of District 13 in Nampa, and so this was his opportunity to also introduce the bill. So we have a clip that we want to play from Senator Lenny presenting this anti-mask mandate bill that was being heard today in House State Affairs. So let's roll that clip. It's just a couple minutes, but he succinctly brings us back. Maybe we should have that. Let's go back to COVID times when they forced us to wear masks. So let's listen to Senator Lenny.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Brian Lenny from the great city of Nampa in Canyon County, one of Idaho's shining gems. So trust the science. We heard that for years and years and years. Follow the data, listen to the experts. It feels like just yesterday we were living in the midst of the COVID crisis, and although there were several missteps, I believe, looking back, that most of us were just trying to do the best we could with the information we had. It's kind of our first COVID crisis. But as we sit here today in 2024, it's crystal clear to me, and I think to probably most of us in this room, if we admit it, that much of our COVID response was unscientific, unjustified, and frankly absurd. We saw medical coercion, social distancing, moms being arrested in parks, snipers on the roof of our Central District Health building during a public meeting, and forced masking also topped the list of those absurdities. And under the heavy hand of the CDC and Dr. Anthony Fauci, the science, we were obsessed, and the science, I should say, we were obsessed with forcing not just free-thinking adults, but even toddlers as young as 2 years old to wear face masks. And we all remember those chilling videos of adults forcing crying children to wear masks. In schools, mostly, we saw those. We all lived through it. We're here 4 years back. We're here in 2024 looking back. But, I remember the shaming, the gaslighting, and the paranoia on both sides of every debate that had to do with COVID was almost palpable. It's almost tangible.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Senator Lenny, for bringing us back to those times, because there are. I mean, we see it. If you're watching this show, you're aware of the gaslighting that's going on. Oh, we didn't know, and this is what we knew at the time. But there was plenty of noise being made, especially in Idaho. There's video of people burning masks in early 2021 on the state capitol. And so anyway, there's just the ability for Brian Lenny to paint that picture again about what's going on, about what we went through and why this bill is important. And you're going to see, because this bill has been before the House many times. I think at least something similar by this has made it through the House. There were other bills that were a little bit more niche in that they were against masking children. That went through the House. And so this is going to pass. This is going to go through. But what you're not going to see, and this is another point that I want to bring up, is that it's folks like Brian Lenny and Elaine Price, freshmen who were a lot of them were inspired to run. Jason Gallagher, who's the sponsor of this bill. I didn't mean to put Elaine Price's name on this bill, although I have a feeling she's going to vote for it. But it's folks like Jason Gallagher and Brian Lenny who ran for these seats largely on the indescribable reaction that government took to the pandemic. And so they are the ones that were noisy. They are the ones that were loud. And this bill, which was also brought before the House 2 years ago by Representative Carrie Hanks, who is running again to come back, she ran this bill. And it's folks like that who are loud and noisy and won't back down that are making things happen. And it pains me to want to have to call out people, and I'm not going to name names, but you can write your own list of people who end up voting for these bills because they believe in it, but they also at the same time chastise, either behind the scenes or in front of the cameras, they chastise their fellow legislators for being too loud, for being too noisy, for grandstanding and wanting to bring attention to themselves. And I'm sorry, but I will defend these folks because I'm not here to bring attention to myself. I know Senator Lenny is not trying to bring attention to himself. What they are trying to do is bring attention to the fact that the government was trying to force you to wear masks, they were putting masks on 2-year-olds who were on a plane. My daughter was flying with my wife on a plane, and the airlines were forcing my daughter, my 3-year-old daughter, to wear a mask. She didn't because she's 3 and doesn't like anything on her face. Because she's 3. Okay? So all of this nonsense, they just want it to go away. They just want it to go away. And I want to play the second part of Senator Lenny's clip. I want to take this in moment to moment because there are folks out there that think that maybe this isn't such a big deal. But you and I know that this is a huge deal. And there are a lot of people that got away with doing this with no accountability. At the state level, at the local level, at the city level. The city that the largest city near me that I live by has a city council who mandated masks. And they all were reelected because they were able to just rabbit hole the entire thing and focus on other things. But there were zero ramifications. And so we are going to take, we could do a 2-hour program on this one hearing today. We're not going to because we're paying attention to what's going on in the House. Right now the House is debating House Bill 403, but we're paying attention to that because we want to dip in when this other bill pops up. But in the meantime, we are going to focus on this mask mandate bill because we know it's going to pass the House. We have a feeling that it'll go just like the other ones did. But I want to take this bit by bit. So Senator Lenny continued in his presentation on this bill that he is co-sponsoring. And so let's listen to the second half of this clip.
Many of us suspected it at the time. New research has now proven what we thought all along, that much of this was pointless, especially the forced masking. I have 3 examples of that. In a congressional hearing just 3 months ago, on restoring trust in science in Congress in D.C., CDC Director Mandy Cohen evaded questions on whether she would bring back mask mandates. 6 days later, in December 2023, a BMJ journal, medical journal, published a study that found, quote, mask recommendations are not supported by scientific evidence. Third one, the CDC posted a blog 3 weeks ago from today, just 3 weeks ago, The CDC put out a blog warning that the CDC's own scientists got the science wrong when it came to masking. I could go on and on and on, but other people want to testify as well. So I would say that the current body.
Okay, let's dip out of Senator Lenny. Let's dip out of Senator Lenny here. Representative Julian Young is standing up on the House floor right now to present House Bill 498. She's the other co-sponsor, and let's listen in on this. This is the child
of minors and pornography. House Bill 448, however, offers an elegant and appropriate solution to this problem by making the individuals who provide the content and make money off of it responsible for ensuring that that content is provided only to those who are not minors. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I would like to cede the remainder of my time, or yield the remainder of my time, to the good lady from 4.
Good lady from 4 yields. Continue the opening.
The lady yields.
Lady has the floor to continue.
Thank you, good lady from 30. This bill's statement of purpose says it all. Our children are being afflicted with destructive pornography epidemic. It can be biologically addictive. It can cause low self-esteem and body issues. It's proven to harm the developing brain. It creates unrealistic expectations between partners. It increases demand for prostitution, child exploitation, and child pornography. Article 3, Section 24 of our Constitution states, "The foremost concern of all good government is the virtue and sobriety of the people and the purity of the home." Idaho Code 18-15-15 already prohibits the disseminating material harmful to minors. In today's environment of access to the internet being across all forms of technology, enforceability and accountability seems daunting. This legislation intends to empower parents and guardians to protect their children if harmful content is currently unfetteredly accessed. The main points of the bill are the material harmful to minors but must be at least 1/3 of the content on the site. And this is in page 3, section 11, line 40 of the bill. The solution falls to the commercial entity, and that entity is defined on page 2, section 1, line 24. Not the government, leaving the third-party verification options up to the content provider, not by the state. There is a provision on page 4, section 2, line 11, that says that they shall not retain the identifying information that they get, that they need to dispose of the information after the age verification has been provided. This legislation is placing the burden of responsibility for providing harmful material to minors to the content provider, not the device manufacturing company. This is across all platforms that provide access to the internet. We are trying to encourage these providers to be self-regulating, and we are trying to empower parents and giving them standing in the courts if their children are harmed by this material. The language of the bill and the legal language have been carefully drafted to address the issues other states have seen when they've presented these bills or passed these bills and they've been in the courts. We are trying to make sure that we are meeting the muster of the courts. With that, I encourage your green light on this legislation.
Thank you, good lady. You've heard the motion. Is there further debate on the motion? Jump 26.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would either of the bill sponsors answer a question?
The lady from 30 care to yield to a question?
The lady yields.
Lady yields.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good lady from 30, as I read through here, let me get right back to it, sorry. I think it's on page 3, where you're talking about how the websites can't retain any information. I mean, I appreciate certainly the intent of that, but how, is there a mechanism in which that can happen that we know is working in potentially other states?
Lady from 30.
Mr. Speaker and good gentlemen, I'm not sure that I entirely understand your question about the mechanism. What I do know is that this has been adopted across many states, as you can see from the one-pager that's on your desk there, that it's been upheld by the courts, and that age verification is a service that is provided through a number of companies, which I would be happy to provide you information on, who do this professionally and have done it well.
John 26.
Follow-up question, Mr. Speaker.
Would the good lady from 30 yield to additional question?
The lady yields.
Lady yields.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good lady. I'm just concerned about people's private information being disseminated out amongst sort of bad actors in the hacking world. I know that we're saying that they can't keep it, but in practice, I have a little bit of concern about that. I guess that maybe that's more of a comment than anything.
I don't think that was a question there.
Right.
Thank you, gentlemen. More like debate on the bill. Next time we can debate the bills. Further debate on the motion? Hearing none. Good gentleman, 26. Your last comments considered negative debate. Okay. Hearing no negative debate, debate is closed. Question is, shall House Bill 498 pass the House? Clerk will unlock the machine. The members cast their votes. Has every member voted? Does anyone have to change their vote? Clerk will lock the machine and record the roll. 67 ayes, 3 absent and excused. Majority having voted in favor of House Bill 498. House Bill 498 is passed the House. Is there correction in title?
No correction in title.
Hearing none, the title is approved. The bill will be transmitted to the Senate. Gentleman 22.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent that we hold Senate Bill 1268 and Senate Bill 1267 one legislative day.
Unanimous consent has been requested to hold Senate Bill 1268 and 1267 one legislative day. Do I hear an objection? Hearing none, so ordered. The bills remain on the third reading count of one legislative day.
Okay. Sorry, I had my mic muted.
So 1269.
Okay. Sorry, guys. Yeah, let's lower that and bring me back here. All right, you heard it there, 67-0. That was as unanimous as it can get. You had 3 folks who did not, who were not present. Representative Chu, Representative Dixon from 24, and Representative Tanner were marked as absent today. So, but other than that, pretty powerful statement made by the Idaho House in passing this bill. Excellent. Okay. I expected to hear some debate, but I'm surprised that we didn't. So that's good. All right, we are going to take a short break, and we will get back to the House State Affairs mask mandate hearing that happened this morning. So we will be right back.
It's our job to maintain the proper role of government and what we were tasked to do.
There's a saying in Idaho, Esto Perpetua. It is forever. But the truth is, nothing lasts forever. Not without a fight. The Gem State is ours to fight for. It is ours to win. For life and liberty. For honesty and integrity. We ride together.
All right, we are back. We just saw the House overwhelmingly, unanimously vote for the Online Child Protection Act, which will require pornography sites, for lack of a better term there, that's exactly what they are, pornography sites to request and demand verification of age to access their content. This bill, we had Senator Taves on yesterday, and he kind of went through how this bill has operated in, I think, 8 other states have already passed this type of bill, and it looked like maybe 15 more, including Idaho, are in the process of doing that right now. So that just happened in the House. We'll keep tabs on that as it heads over to the Senate, where it will be assigned to a committee. There'll be another hearing, and then the Senate will vote on it before it makes its way to the governor's desk. But with a huge unanimous vote on the House, I can't imagine there's going to be too many roadblocks on the Senate side. Speaking of the Senate side, over in the Senate right now, they are debating Senate Bill 1258, which is a public right-of-way bill. So this is just one of these process bills that folks find, and they reach out to their senators and reps to try and change and make our lives a little bit better. So Senator Scott Herndon is opening up the discussion on that bill over there, if you want to go watch that later. All right. Okay, let's get back to the House State Affairs Committee. We were listening to Senator Lenny talk about why this bill is necessary, and to prohibit the cities and counties and agencies from mandating masks. And just so that everybody's aware, because our governor likes to go around saying that he never instituted a mask mandate across Idaho. And while that's true, he never signed a piece of paper that said all Idahoans must wear a mask in certain whatever situation. When he left the state, if you'll recall, whenever the governor leaves the state, the lieutenant governor becomes the acting governor and is essentially literally the governor. And so when he left the state back in I think it was in 21, when he left the state for a few days in 2021, at the time, Janice McGeehan was the lieutenant governor, and there was a lot of debate raging on masks in schools. And because school districts, many of them across Idaho, were mandating masks on students to attend school, and teachers and staff. And so I know that was happening in my school district, and we were very vocal about it and pushing back against that. But when he left, Lieutenant Governor Janice McGeehan issued an executive order saying that school districts and other agencies were not allowed to mandate masks anymore. Like, it was done. You cannot mandate masks. And that, I think that happened on a Friday or a Thursday or something like that. And so then the next day you could go to school without a mask. and then the governor returned, and he overturned that executive order, basically tore it up and says, no, we cannot do that. That is not, we should leave these things up to local governments to decide. And so while he didn't necessarily, put in a mask mandate, he certainly got rid of an order that said that there shall not be a mask mandate. So let's make sure everybody remembers that, because that's exactly what happened. Because after he tore that executive order up, mask mandates were magically back in schools. In school districts across Idaho. So this bill here, that was a long-winded way to get to the point that we're getting at here, but this bill here will allow you to push back if anybody decides that they want to institute a mask mandate again. And they will not be allowed to do it. A city, a county, any government agency cannot be allowed to do it in a broad sense. And that's all what we're asking for. I mean, obviously they were making exceptions if state hires a welder and they got to tell them, you got to wear a mask when you're welding. Like, it's okay. Well, that's a no-brainer. Every welder knows that you got to wear some sort of mask over your eyes so you can weld. But those anecdotal examples and stuff are not what we were talking about here. Okay. I also led earlier talking today about how when U.S. Congress will grill certain agents of the government at their hearings, that we don't really see that sort of thing here at the state level. That is unless, of course, someone like Kelly Packer, who is a former state representative. She also ran for lieutenant governor in 2018, funny enough, against Janice McGeehan. She came in dead last in a 5-person race in that primary. But she was here before the committee this morning defending mask mandates. And so we've got a couple of clips of her, but these are the people. I mean, she was a representative. She was elected. People vote for her, and these are the kind of people that that we have to suffer through when they find a little bit of power. Let's listen to Ms. Packer this morning from the House State Affairs Committee on the mask mandate bill.
Aren't out to harm their residents by throwing them in jail for a mask mandate, or for trying to in violation of something that none of us knew how to handle. They're simply trying their best to manage a very chaotic and uncertain circumstance, an emergency. And that's why we're asking that you allow them the tools to do that. Again, I think that you're going to find that the cities have already learned exactly what you're learning as well. And that is that maybe we did go too far in certain circumstances, and we could just make it mandatory in our city halls, right? When people are going to be in close proximity with each other or whatnot. But what I'm asking is allow them to manage the unknowns in the future that they may face when they're the ones responsible for that population in their jurisdiction.
Okay. I'm telling you. Oh, we made some mistakes, but we still want to do it. Maybe we only want to do it in City Hall or where there's people in close proximity to each other. Like, that's exactly what the problem is. And when she's sitting there talking about how it was chaotic, we didn't know what was going on. This stuff that may have been true in March of 2020 or in April or June of 2020, but I specifically remember early on when people were even considering the idea of masks that the God King himself, Anthony Fauci, was talking about wearing masks. And I think to refresh everybody's memory, I think we have that Fauci clip. Is that available, guys? Yeah, let's watch Fauci.
Walking around with a mask. When you're in the middle of an outbreak, wearing a mask might make people feel a little bit better, and it might even block a droplet, but it's not providing the perfect protection that people think that it is.
Okay, again, like it's like a flashback. Like, talk about triggering. Yes, I'm triggered. Yes, I'm triggered. Okay, but talk about flashbacks. We went through this. So when you have someone like Kelly Packer come up there and say, "Oh, it was chaotic. We didn't know what to do," and we did, like, you're talking March, April, May, June, July, August, like all throughout 2020, and then we get into 21. There were experts, there were studies, there were people telling you that masks do not work. That was the entire argument. You had people being arrested because they were making a stand. And so for her to say we did not know is a complete and utter, is it a lie? Because she actually believes it, right? So it's not necessarily a lie. It's just incompetence, because she chose to rely on the experts that the mainstream media was forcing down our throats. Meanwhile, her constituents, the people that were, and I know she wasn't necessarily a public official at the time, but it's her type, her type of people. This was the issue, that no one was listening to the other side of the argument. Now that wasn't across the board, because you had school districts that said we're not going to do mask mandates. You had certain areas of the state that said we're not going to do mask mandates. And in most parts of Idaho, if there was a mask mandate, nobody cared and nobody enforced it. It was just kind of like, we're going to say it, So it's like all of that stuff is just absolute garbage. So, but this is what sparked people to run. In part, was this COVID, was the COVID madness that was going on. And it's folks like Representative Joe Alfieri, who ran for mayor before he ran for legislature in Coeur d'Alene. And now he gets to sit up on the dais there and question Miss Kelly Packer. So let's listen to the Joe Alfieri clip.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Ms. Packer, for coming this morning. This is kind of a multi-layered situation that we're discussing here. So I'm going to throw a couple of things at you. The first thing is I'm wondering under what constitutional authority you believe that cities have the right to impose a certain type of action on a citizen, such as wearing a mask. Along with that, knowing what we know now about the ineffectiveness of masks as stated by the CDC, as well as many other health authorities, why would we even consider a mask as a possible solution to any type of health crisis?
Ms. Packer.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Representative Alfieri. The authority comes constitutionally and in state statute from this body, and I recognize that. And you do have then the authority and the responsibility to oversee certain things. However, just like the federal government, to the state, to the counties, to the cities, there's a fine line between finding the right balance of authority between all of those areas and finding a consistent policy that makes sense to implement is your right and should happen, but it's oftentimes hard to find a one-size-fits-all for cities because they are so vastly different. Then to your second question, we're again looking in hindsight, and the CDC's position on mask effectiveness may change as technology changes, as masks get better, as a different disease comes down the pike. We don't know. We're not saying that we want that today for any reason because there's not a threat. What we want is the ability to act when something does happen based on the current science, the current tools, the current recommendations at that time, and in an answer to whatever we might face. When you do something like this, then you remove our ability to act in a way that may be in the best interest at that time.
Yes.
It was in the past.
Yes.
What we're asking for is for the ability for us to take care of our unique needs in any given circumstance when an emergency may arise.
No, that's the whole point. That's the whole point. You want the ability to just infringe on people's rights, and you can't do that. Joe Alfieri is absolutely correct. Where in the Constitution does it give you the ability to do that? Nowhere. Nowhere does it. Nowhere. And so these people that just said, well, we want to have all options available to us to be able to. You know what? Here's the thing. If acid rain was falling from the sky, you wouldn't have to tell me to stay inside for 2 weeks as it passes by, because it's acid rain and it will burn my flesh if I walk outside, right? If there is and we've had wildfire, when there's major wildfires and you walk outside and there's smoke and ash everywhere, you don't have to tell me to put on a mask, because I will, right? These people that think that you are just complete morons. It's insulting. It's absolutely insulting. Especially when the science, trust the science, comes out and says that the masks don't work, and we knew that they don't work. They don't stop. We don't have to rehash all that stuff, but we know it. I don't have to keep going over it and over and over it again. But it's people like this that have no business being in power. This is the problem with government. It's that it is filled with busybodies and nanny state people. And so we will never get away from these issues, because these are the people, these busybodies, these nanny staters, like their only place in life is to go into government. Okay, getting heated here. All right. I believe we're expecting to have Elaine Price here. I'm not sure if she's here yet, but we're expecting to have Elaine Price. The House went at ease, so Elaine Price's bills sailed through. and Representative Young, their bill sailed through today, and so we will have Elaine on in a moment when she comes in. Okay, so what we're going to do though is we're going to find a way to post the entire hearing today of the mask mandate. We're going to post it on our channel. You can find it. I don't know where else you're going to find it because it doesn't exist. The legislature doesn't have a YouTube channel where you can just go and watch all this stuff. You got to download it and you got to watch it on your own player and stuff. So we're going to find a way to get that hearing up so you can watch the entire thing because it's absolutely fascinating, and we're just playing a few highlights here. Okay, I believe we have Representative Elaine Price. She's coming off the floor after a sweeping victory for her side of the house there. I mean, it was fantastic. Elaine, how are you? You and Representative Young presented that bill fantastic today. How does it feel to see all those green lights up there?
It was amazing. I was pretty confident that we were going to have a good yes contingency, but you never know the surprises that are coming down here. So I am super, super happy that it was unanimous.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I expected some debate. I mean, the biggest question that a lot of people had that do like this idea was what do they do with the data? You know, when they collect the data to verify. So I will give the representative credit for asking that question and kind of making that a concern there. But I think you guys handled it well. I think it's we know anything that is on the internet usually stays forever, but at this point in time, if you're worried about your data being out there, you've got a lot more problems than just this bill. So congratulations on this. Yeah. What, like you said, it was kind of a surprise. So where do we go forward? Because I mean, there's not really much to debate about on the House side. How do you feel this bill does on the Senate side?
Oh, I think as overwhelmingly as it passed on this side, I think that the only thing that may hold this bill up on the Senate side would be politics. So to have the backing of both parties on the House side should show the Senate that it's got a lot of support. So I think the only issues that it has on the Senate side is if there's horse trading going on. So, and there's, I guess, more politics that can be played if that comes into play as well. So,
yeah, good point. I mean, we see a lot of great bills pass with sometimes with overwhelming numbers, maybe not unanimous, but with overwhelming numbers in the high 50s and 60s at times that end up not even getting a committee hearing in the Senate side. Yeah. That's happened a lot. So, I mean, I can't imagine that this doesn't get a committee hearing at the very least, but then again, which committee and who's in charge? And like you said, if there's horse trading going on, can you explain to the people, you don't have to use any examples really, but can you explain what you mean by horse trading when it comes to a bill like this?
Well, if there's somebody's bill that they're trying to make sure it gets across the line, then they go to certain chairmen and say, will you hold my bill in committee until my bill gets across? Or will you, okay, so if I vote for your bill, then you'll hold this bill in committee. There's just so many variations of that can happen to any bill, and a lot of times you don't even know that stuff is going on.
Right. So you're saying, so even as a sponsor, you could hear that you other representatives or senators could be dealing with your bill to get something else done, and you don't even know that it's going on.
Correct.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And there is a competing bill out there right now that came through on the Senate side, and that's trying to hold the device accountable for what is put out on the internet. And it was just revealed to me that this is very dangerous territory, because if we hold the device manufacturer responsible for what somebody puts on the internet, why can't we then run into 2A issues where the manufacturer is held responsible for something a person does? And I don't want to open that door at all. So
yeah, that's a very good point. I think we covered some of that with Senator Ben Taves yesterday about this issue, because you're exactly right. If we start holding device manufacturers and manufacturers of things that people use to commit crimes or anything, then yeah, you open up a whole ball of wax. So tell me about working with Representative Young on this bill, and I know Senator Taves is going to be carrying it on the Senate side. How is it working with folks on an issue like this that obviously, now that, in hindsight, it had unanimous support, but going in on this, what was your strategy? What were you trying to convey here about how important this bill is?
Well, Representative Young brings a lot of bills forward that deal with children and deal with protecting children. And so we felt it was important to bring her in on this, to bring her group into supporting the bill as well. So, and she is an experienced legislator. So having her experience helping me in the hearing process, helping me on the floor, was just a very calming measure in this whole process. So
yeah, she's a true statesman. She does a fabulous job with her debates, her arguments, and the way she presents and the way she reacts to people. Sometimes people can come at her pretty hostile, but she has a good reaction.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
We've been trying to get her. We've been trying to schedule her on the show, but it seems like every day she's got a new bill that she's presenting. So I think once things die down, we'll have her on. Okay. Well, Representative Price, you also had, and maybe this is the horse trading thing that was going on. We had you on before because you had presented a bill or a resolution, whatever you want to call it, about the Blaine Amendment.
Yes.
And that seems to have sort of disappeared as well. And that's not even, that would have something that would have gone to the voters. We've had Kate Hartley on to talk about that. What's going on with the Blaine Amendment resolution?
And I don't want to say anything negative, but it's gotten caught up in the politics. So I was carrying it on the House side for Senator Lenny, and his decision was to wait until he felt it was proper for it to come out of the committee. So it's still in committee. They could pull it out at any time and vote on it. So I deferred to him. That was his decision, and I'll be ready when it gets to come out of the committee.
Well, I like hearing that. They say you can hate the game, not the player. So if this is how it goes, then this is how it goes. This is the process. So understood. Yep. We have a segment we're starting called "Where's the Bill?" And so we just want to make sure that people know that we're paying attention and that they pay attention. So if we get enough concern over bills, you'll start hearing the phone calls roll in.
Absolutely, and I totally understand that, and I don't mind that at all.
Okay, good. Well, I knew you wouldn't. All right, Representative Price, thank you so much for carrying this bill, and I say good luck to you on the Senate side, and we'll have you back when that happens.
Thank you. Thank you so much for covering all this stuff. We appreciate you a lot.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you, Representative. Okay, Representative Elaine Price there. You can, we should have asked her. I don't know if she's on social media, but we'll find out her details. I always like to make sure we ask how to follow them. So we'll get that up there. Okay, let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
It's our job to maintain the proper role of government and what we were tasked to do.
All Idaho lawmakers swear an oath to support the Idaho and U.S. constitutions. But how's that working out for you? Because not all Idaho lawmakers share the same values. That's where the Citizens Alliance of Idaho Pledge comes in. 10 statements inspired by those two founding documents that are designed to preserve our shared values. Values such as education freedom, safeguarding free speech, defending our protected right to self-defense, and being responsible stewards of taxpayer dollars. When a lawmaker signs the pledge, they are performing an act of political courage, accepting the challenge to be a champion for our values, and serving with political integrity. To find out if your lawmaker signed the pledge, visit idahopledge.com. Paid for by Citizens Alliance of Idaho. We ride together. Okay, we are back. We want to thank Representative Price for joining us. It's a great thing when we can see her on the floor with such a huge victory and then have her join us live right after it happened. Great moment there. So we're going to pay attention to that bill. That was I think it was referred to as House Bill 448 by Representative Young, and I think it had a couple of iterations. But just to be clear, this is House Bill 498. It now heads to the Senate. And we will follow it along there. Okay, we have been going over what happened today in the House State Affairs Committee. We have about 9 minutes left in the show. And we got a couple more things that we want to show you. There were other public testimony there. We had folks who said that they themselves were arrested for not wearing a mask. We had folks talk about how there were, that there was people who were arrested for and charged for not wearing a mask in court, and then they were brought back to court to face those charges, and they weren't forced to wear a mask while they were in court. I think that's how it went. So you can just see the double standard and the madness that we all had to live through, and it really was a mind. Just a total destruction of your mind, but that they were trying to do. There was somebody named Lee Joe Lay who was giving public comment, and he was going on about a lot of things, some very interesting things, but he ran out of time right when he was getting into this giant mask that he brought. So luckily, Representative Andrus asked a question that allowed him continue, and we thought that was fascinating. So rather than play his entire clip, we're going to pick it up at the end when he was talking about this giant mask that he had when he ran out of time. So let's watch this clip right here. This was this morning.
Material from being breathed into your body.
Okay, Mr. Lay, we're going to have to wrap up. Committee, do you have any questions for Mr. Lay?
And I can answer any of the questions.
Representative Andrus.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Mr. Lay. Would you mind telling me a little bit more about that mask?
Mr. Lay.
Thank you, ma'am. 27 years ago, I was trained on how to use this mask, and it protected me from cyanide gas in a gold mill that I worked at. Okay, I had to wear it around a certain section of it. It stops organic material from coming through the mask with activated carbon. When you wear this mask, it stops all organic material, including viruses, including everything else. I took 14 of this style of mask to St. Al's at the beginning of the pandemic, and several months later took them back because they decided it wasn't in their protocol to wear something that actually worked. The NIOSH rating of an N95 means that particulates, it screens out 95% of particulates, screens out almost no bacteria and absolutely no viruses. So the only effective measure that the government may have been able to take if they were going to mandate something that was effective and followed actual science, which was established 23 years before the pandemic and well beyond that, would have been to mandate and pass out NIOSH P100 masks. And instead, we've got dual and triple masking of an N95 mask. N95 plus N95 plus N95 is not 270. It's still 95, okay?
Lee Joe Lay. This is the first time I've seen Lee Joe, and if I should have known him before today, I apologize. But this guy was awesome. He just exposed the madness. He's like, if you want to take this virus seriously, if you really think that it is as bad as everybody says it is, then this is the mask you need. So I'm going to take a bunch of them to the hospital so that they can use it. And they say, no, we don't want that. We're just going to double up on the N95s over and over and over again. Remember it was Fauci wearing 3 masks. They were wearing triple masks. I mean, the madness, people, the madness. And that's why we have fantastic folks who stood up in this madness and came to testify. They ran for legislature, they ran for city council, they ran for county commissioner, and they are going to fix this. And they are attempting to fix this with this bill. So I applaud all of this stuff. And we've been fighting this fight for a while. We've been fighting at Citizens Alliance of Idaho right here. We've been fighting this fight for a while. Back in 2022, I showed up at Chuck Winder's office with a stack. Here's the photo. I showed up in 2022 at the end of session, March 2022, with a stack of papers. These were petitions. Each individual petitions, over 1,800 that we collected in just a 2-week period, because we realized the session was about to end and they weren't going to take on Kerry Hanks's mask mandate bill. They just let it sit in a drawer. And as the clock was ticking to the end of the session, we thought, well, we got to do something about this. So we put out a mad dash for signatures, and we garnered over 1,800 signatures. We printed each one of those petitions out, and I went down to Boise and delivered it into Chuck Winder's office. And I asked, "Where's the bill? What happened?" And he said, "Well, not enough senators wanted to pass it, or not enough senators supported it, so we never brought it to the floor. We never brought it to a hearing." Hey, that's my first impression of Winder. How was that? I don't know. Anyway, we're not going to get into impressions, but that's what he told me. He said, "Oh, not enough senators wanted to support it, so we're not going to do it." Okay. Well, the House passed it. Overwhelmingly. I have 1,800 signatures that I gathered in 2 weeks here for you. Do the people's business, and that's what's happening right now. Okay, we've got a few more clips, I think, on this matter, but I think what we're just going to do is we're gonna get that hearing. We're going to upload it to our channel in full so you can watch it, because it's absolutely fascinating. And the bill did leave committee, and so it will be headed to the floor. So we will get it passed in the House again, hopefully. Meanwhile, where are the other bills that we were looking on? We had a bill yesterday that we looked at. We asked, where's the bill? Well, we've got a new bill today that we want to ask, where is it? And maybe it's in the middle of some horse trading. Where's the bill? This is House Bill 415. This is the enhanced carry permit for teachers and staff in schools. This passed the House almost 3 weeks ago. And it's been sitting in the Senate State Affairs Committee. This is Senator Winder's favorite committee to send bills to die. And so this is the Senate State Affairs Committee. This is their phone number. This is their email address. You call them and you email them and you ask them, where's the bill? Where is 415? When are we going to get a hearing? It passed the House. It passed the House. Are we going to protect our children? Are we going to protect our teachers in school? Are we going to allow them the ability to properly defend themselves? Where's the bill? House Bill 415. So please do give them a call. Please give them an email to ask, where is this bill? Okay. Before we cut out of here, yesterday the House passed a bill that would include the death penalty, capital punishment for severe child molesters, right? For lack of a better term. And a Republican, Stephanie Jo Mickelson, Representative Mickelson out of 32, Jefferson County, Bonneville County, she voted no against this bill. She was only one of 2 Republicans to join the Democrats in voting against this capital punishment bill for child molesters. She voted no, and then 5 minutes later, she asked to renege her vote. We want to thank Stop Idaho Rhinos for capturing this clip and providing this little clip here. So let's watch this clip.
32.
To debate the bill, Mr. Speaker.
Good lady has the floor to debate the bill.
I would say that we should hold off on this, and I will be a red light on this bill.
Good lady from 32.
Mr. Speaker, I would ask by unanimous consent that I be allowed to change my vote on 515.
515?
Yes.
Unanimous consent has been requested by the good lady from 32 to change her vote from a no to a yes. Is everybody clear on that? The good lady from 32 is asking unanimous consent to change her vote on House Bill 515 from a no to a yes. Is there an objection? Gentleman from 13.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not objecting, just a point of order. How
Gentlemen?
does that work when the good lady debated against the bill, voted against the bill, and now wants to change her vote? Just procedurally, process-wise, could you give us a ruling on how that works?
The gentleman, she did debate against the bill, and she did vote no, but through unanimous consent, her vote can be changed if it's the will of the body. I do know that in the past there's been concerns about that, but if it's the will of the body, she can make that request even though she did debate against the bill.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So do I hear an objection? Hearing none, so ordered. The good lady's vote will be noted in the journal as a yes and not a no.
Oh, poor Stephanie Joe. You got caught. You thought there'd be more Republicans voting against that bill. And even though she stood up and voted against it, and she's like, oh, I'm going to switch my vote. I can't go back home with that on my record. Wow. Props to Representative Crane there for pointing out all that stuff there too. Hey, this is what happens, man. This is what happens. This is what goes on down there. And I am so happy that we get to deliver this stuff to you and keep you all informed. There's a lot more that goes on, especially behind the scenes. And I thank Representative Price for sharing her insights on that as well. All right, folks, that's the end of the show here. IdahoSignal.com is where you can support us. Head over there if you want to support us in a financial manner, or if you want to send us an email or a message. We've been getting some really fantastic comments over on our Rumble channel and on YouTube. I get texts coming in. We see what happens over on Telegram as well. Our Telegram channel has been growing, which is great. And so we want to make sure that you know where to watch us. You can watch us live on X, on Rumble, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Telegram, and check out our archives over at Rumble and YouTube. All right, folks, thank you so much for watching. We'll be back tomorrow. We've got a lot on deck as well as always. Thank you and happy Valentine's Day.
This bill, I think, it puts a stake in the ground that says we have a sovereign right to protect what's ours.